So I use human design for people to help them understand who they are, because I believe a brand is who you actually are expressing yourself as authentically. Just being who we are and expressing who we are until we started to find out that we shouldn't be that way or that we should be some other way. I think everyone needs to have access to a more mindful way of living, a more creative expression of their life, as well as like knowing their energetic signature.
And if they did, what would be different about the world?
Well, I think if we all were able to live more authentically.
Hey everyone, it's Tamara Thompson with Broadcast Your Authority, and I'm here with a great group of women panelists, and I'm going to actually have my co-host, Amanda Dake, introduce our next guest.
Hey there, everyone. I would love to introduce you to my new friend, Rubina. She is a mindfulness coach. She teaches breathwork and other mindfulness practices to people of all industries and ages. And I'm really excited for you to get to know her a little bit better, too. So thanks for being here with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me here.
We met not by accident at all, but just kind of put together in an interview situation and connected immediately. And so I think you're just like one of my little best friends now, because we've just had this instant connection. We have so many things in common. And what was great about the event was that it pulled together so many people with common goals, even though we're all from different backgrounds and we have all different levels of expertise in different areas. But Rubina's was really special because of how she's helping others in the world. And especially, I'm just kind of enamored by how you get to work with young people of high school age, having been a high school teacher myself. So I know that's not your only focus, but would you mind just telling us a little bit about how you do that? Like, what do you do with high school age kids in this mindfulness breathwork kind of thing? Because it's not very common.
Yeah, I guess I'm really in a lucky position. I actually teach a lot of creative classes. And so with that, it's a natural entry point. I have great directors who I work under, and they always approve my lesson plan. I'm going to teach them mindfulness. And I think it's really fortunate that I have that opportunity. The students get to understand that creativity, you access it from a deeper place of relaxation. And sometimes I'm teaching my class and I will just jump into the lesson plan. Like, we're going to be doing this digital example. We're going to make a composite, and the students will pause me and say, Miss Rubina, you didn't start us with mindfulness, or we didn't get our breath work. It just really affirms how much they need it. Everybody has different levels of stress, and especially the youth now, they've gone through a lot these past 5 years, and they need these tools. They're asking for it. So I feel really fortunate to provide them.
That's amazing. What does mindfulness mean whenever you're speaking to a group of students? How do you explain that to them?
Giving them a chance to just take a break, come into their awareness, get present, get grounded in the space. We're going to do something fun. We're going to do something creative, but let's all, bring ourselves here. We've been carrying around all of our academic stresses all day, and now they get to put that aside and do what they love to do. So it's kind of like a good breaking point for them to know, oh, I get to leave all those things where I'm expected to do something. And now this is for me. It's for me to reward myself. And it's for me to also express who I am to the world. Yeah.
That's really interesting you say that. I wonder, do you find for some children, or maybe even some parents or student teachers, maybe things like that, there's some resistance to the idea of this mindfulness piece, and there's the idea that it's too woo-woo for an educational platform?
Of course. Yeah, I get the eye roll. So I always start the first day, hey guys, we're going to do this. I know. And I'll roll my eyes like, you don't have to. Of course, I'm a trauma-informed caregiver. So it's like, this is something you have access to if you want to put your head down and just take a rest. And sometimes they will. And other times they'll just be like, at the end, they're like, they have that face. They're just like, oh, thank God I did take the time. And yeah, I have it on a very simple, I know, I definitely ride that line between being too woo-woo and like being more, practical with what they need. And so I kind of, I write it safely so that they are hearing both sides of it. If they want to be practical with it, all right, we're just taking a few deep breaths. Maybe we've been walking around stressed, it's hot, we got the air running or whatever it is. So a time for you to just check back in with your body, and then also giving them the sense of like, you may be feeling emotionally really tired or whatever strains or mental stuff that you're dealing with. So offering like a little sprinkle of all of that so everyone can pick up what they need and go with that.
Amazing. Yeah.
Thanks.
One of the things that you shared with us was that this is really woo-woo for some people, some parents, some kids, but also I'm curious, is this super woo-woo for your cultural background? And if so, how did you kind of break into this and where did that start? And was that really uncomfortable to do that?
So for my cultural background, this is where it all came from. I grew up in a very, our spiritual practice was meditation. It was that you have access to that higher consciousness. It's part of you. It's an everyday practice. I was like 6 years old. Okay, you're going to sit down for 30 minutes. That's a lot to expect. But that was really, it was, in my home. And did we love it? No. I was like, oh gosh, Mom. We'd be bribed to do it. But then understanding there was a reason,
Yeah.
So to answer your question, it really was something that I grew up with. And then as I kind of thought, oh, that's that thing that from my culture, it's like you're in your teens, like I could just put that to the side and then go through the world and get knocked around and go through the stresses and then being like, hey, that thing that I used to do that was so much part of my culture and my family, that was probably helpful for me now.
Yeah.
That was a real breakthrough.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So you're saying, and thank you for that great question. You didn't start here, like you went off, you said, and did other things that kind of brought those stresses about. Can you talk about your journey, like what you did before you became a mindfulness instructor?
Yeah, of course. I mean, so I was born here in the U.S. in Los Angeles and grew up with immigrant parents. And so it was like, that's very uncool to bring my culture, right? I want to be the normal kid, fit in with everyone else in Los Angeles. Luckily, there's a lot of, different demographics. So that was easy. But I definitely went into the industry and I worked in the creative industry and it was really high paced, working in post-production and just, taking on all the stresses. And that was the cool thing to do, right? It's like getting success, so ambitious and just keep going until it's like my own burnout made me kind of turn around and say, hey, I need to do something for my own mental well-being, for my own, sanity.
And is that the moment when you realized, Nick, oh, now that I've done this for myself, like, did you take that? Was that the impetus to go on and create that for yourself as a way of doing work? Instead of doing what you were doing?
In some ways, yes, but no, I left the industry and I was like, I'm not going to do this creative stuff anymore. I'll just go into education. That's what my family wants me to do. Maybe that's a safe place. And then that wasn't satisfying, right? Because my soul really wanted to do the creative part. And then at some point, understanding the balance of both, oh, now I have all these students that are looking for something. They're almost in a similar place where they want to creatively express. If I had used those tools earlier, if I can bring it to them, they have access to their full self, right? To their spiritual side of their self, and then their physical side of their self and their ambition. You can have it where you are going through, the mainstream of life with your ambition and you have these as supports.
What other tools do you use? So I know you said you use breathwork and meditation. What other tools do you use both with the kids and with the adults? And does that look different with kids and adults?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a trauma-informed yoga teacher trainer. So I actually teach children's yoga and two other, yoga instructors. And for me, the trauma-informed part was really important. It was really understanding that my body has a need, my mind, my experiences, and theirs each individually have that. So I'm always kind of, adapting what it is I'm teaching to the different ages, what is going on, in what context. When I'm educating educators, it does have different flavors that I have to introduce into that. Yeah.
Do you work with adults often?
I do. Yeah. I work with a lot of creatives in the industry. And I work with a lot of educators. I do professional development for them as well so that they can bring these tools in their own classrooms or just for themselves if they needed. Educators are stressed out too.
What's your favorite part about what it is what you do?
I'd have to say it's the simplicity of breath work. It's like we were saying earlier, I was saying it's always with you. You were walking around with it. It's literally under your nose. Nobody taught us how to access that. You watch babies and you see their bellies rise and fall with their breath. And then at some point we learn to just hold our core, make it, suck it in or tighten it up. And then we walk around with that instead of realizing, we can relax into our body, right?
Could you walk us through some breathwork?
I would love to.
I'd love to do like an interaction.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't always say you have to close your eyes. You can just kind of drop your gaze to something neutral on the ground or in front of you on your lap. And then just kind of take this moment to bring presence into your body, maybe noticing your feet landing on the floor and your legs and your back being supported in the seat. And then just bringing that awareness up your spine, connecting the back of your neck to your head. And start to feel that your belly, your chest rising. Noticing the air entering your nostrils. Maybe there's a temperature, maybe a little warm air or cool air. And as it leaves your nostrils, how does that feel? Starting to link that feeling of the air entering your nose, traveling up and then down your throat, into the chest deep, into the belly. Letting that belly rise and expand in all directions. And as the air takes a U-turn, coming back up and out the nostrils, just taking its own natural time. Starting to feel the breath expanding and going deeper and relaxing the rest of your body. Maybe your shoulders or your neck, your jaws are tight. You can just relax it. I like to just notice maybe my tongue is pressed to the roof of my mouth or to the front and back of my teeth. Just let it drop down. If you feel like and your eyes want to close, just feeling that relaxation around your eyes, your forehead. And letting the breath take its own journey. Just relax. There's nothing to do. And with that, we can start to bring our awareness back to ourselves, back to the space, being aware of our body, our environment. Maybe glancing back at your feet, slowly opening the eyes, just maybe cracking your eyes open 25%. Slowly halfway. You feel ready and complete. You can open your eyes and come back.
My feet are relaxed.
That's great. We've been on our feet all day. You've been on your feet all day. Yeah.
Closed my eyes and I saw pink and I thought of cotton candy.
Oh, God.
And I was like, maybe I'm just hungry. It was the lack of sugar.
Yeah, it's interesting. We become so aware of our thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is where the creative part kind of comes in. Like some people get uncomfortable for reasons that, they're coping with their thoughts and there's maybe too many thoughts or those thoughts can be scary at times. And so the creative piece is like, like I was telling Leah, having a doodling, activity. There's no pressure. It's not about the outcome, the product, or what it looks like. It's just letting out the stress. And then sometimes people are like, oh, my mind finally got quiet. When you told me to close my eyes, I had all these racing thoughts. And then when I was, with a pen and paper, I was still and quiet.
So you've been talking a little bit more about kind of who you've helped with different things from, kids, parenting, things like that. But I know you and I had a discussion off camera and you have a lot of cool things going on and some of the passions and stuff and that you're doing for your own business as well. And I'd love for you to kind of share a little bit more about what you're doing. We were talking about human design and things like that. And I'd love for you to just to open up a little bit more about your passion and path with this side of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am working on like a branding, energetic branding, part of my business, working with other designers and creating retreats where it's like your personal branding retreat. And human design is definitely part of it, helping people find their strategy, their own energy signature so that they can express it out in the world.
And how did you really just kind of find this piece of it? Because I know when you were talking to me on a Zoom video, you came out and you were so passionate about it. Like, I'd love for people to just feel that energy with you on that side.
Yeah, definitely. So human design has been with me for about 17 years now. It was something that just drew me in because of my life situation. And And I started to wonder what everyone around me was. And then I just dove deeper and deeper. And so probably like 15 years ago, I studied it. And then I started to present it for parents. I did life coaching with it for parents. And now I do use it with creatives and help them to figure out a little more how they're expressing their energy, how they're making choices and decisions, and how they're expressing their own brand, how they are actually doing their work.
So I read energetics, so I don't really understand human design. Can you explain a little bit as to how you actually use human design with the branding and the creating? Like, what do you actually do with it?
So I use human design for people to help them understand who they are, because I believe a brand is who you actually are expressing yourself as authentically. And human design being an energetic signature, like learning who you were when you were born. We all have that intuitive connection to what our soul purpose was. Like when we were kids, we were walking around, worry free, right? Just being who we are and expressing who we are until we started to find out that we shouldn't be that way or that we should be some other way. And so human design has helped a lot of people to go back to finding out who they actually are energetically at the core of themselves when they were born, what they came here for. It's a great way to find out their purpose and how they express themselves in the world, how they make decisions and choices. Though some people think branding is just like your logo or your color choices, which you like, but it doesn't speak authentically if that's not what the market you're going for. So maybe like, I really like the color blue, but maybe that downplays and orange expresses me more because it's creative. So that understanding that part of it, I think that a lot of people, really need the training. They really need the help. And so in one of the branding retreats that I got to be part of, we did, different headshots as well of people so that energetically they felt, this is who they were expressing themselves, and just getting in touch with that rather than the mechanics of what design looks like, being in touch with the authentic branding message of what a person or a company is standing for.
So are you saying that by looking at their chart, that you're able then to say, oh, as we're looking at the branding, or are you talking about the creative person themselves? Like, how are you only using it for like a client to understand how to do their brand? Or are you saying as a creative, understanding your own creative voice allows you to bring in this other dimension, if you will, from the understandings of what the human design is telling them?
I would say a level of both. I think human design is an entry point, just like I feel like breathwork is an entry point in my classroom. Human design is an entry point for whoever the person is. Even if they don't think of themselves as creative, they're creating a business or they're creating decisions for their business, right? And so that is the entry point maybe for them to start thinking energetically and understanding, oh yeah, I move this way, I walk and talk this way, I make choices this way. And then when you give them the options of what their brand looks like, they can actually make those decisions in an aligned way for them.
Well, tell us a little bit more about some of the things that you have going on. So you're talking about how you're doing retreats with, I believe, other individuals on the branding side. Are you doing any types of retreats like by yourself or other things coming up? Do you have a book or any other things coming up related to what you were just talking about?
So I've been writing articles about consciousness and design and how branding is more about this personal expression. And so eventually I will put together a book. This year, I am working on putting together a retreat that would be a fully, holistic, encompassing experience for people to come. So
what would go on at the retreat?
They can have some yoga, great food that they feel nourished, breath work, of course, that leads you into meditation, mindfulness, and then the ability to go into understanding themselves energetically so that, using the human design aspect of it, and then building the brand of who they are, their personal branding. Who do they stand for?
Yes. So when you talk about the human design piece and you talk about their creativity, for those creatives that you're working with that as part of the process, are you taking that thread? Are you, like you said earlier, that they say you're the one who's explaining it best? So what is it about? Can you give us an example of someone that you've worked with where you've shown them something through that process that helped kind of either bring that whole thing together for them or given them that big aha that they were looking?
Yes, absolutely. I just had a client recently, and she was dealing with some personal life stuff in her family. And then, of course, that was trickling out to her business. And so we looked at, something in her human design, and then she kind of was like, can you look at my daughters as well? Because she knows I've done parent coaching. And I was like, sure, of course, I'm happy to. And then, our focus was more on her business side. But as soon as we started to resolve what she was really upset about or more intense, what she was facing within her life and with her daughter, then she could kind of like get relaxed and then move on to focus with her business.
So you still work, you have a full-time job, and then you do your business part-time? How does that
I work contract with schools.
Okay, contract-wise.
Mm-hmm. And I do like professional development through them as well. And then mostly it's all under my business, but yeah, when I contract as an individual.
So long-term goals, where do you see your business in the next 5 years?
Ooh, yeah, I would really like to see it become more mainstream. I think everyone needs to have access to a more mindful way of living, a more creative expression of their life, as well as like knowing their energetic signature.
And if they did, what would be different about the world?
Oh, I want to have that glorious image of like, we'll all be happy. Well, I think if we all were able to live more authentically, the world, their own individual worlds would change.
Well, I think obviously you're on this show right now, and I know you're working with our team to get on more shows too. But honestly, with what you have to share in your message and when your voice comes out more powerful, definitely consider starting your own show, doing something like consistent content. You're wanting to reach more people. And if people are searching for what you have out there, definitely consider something like that.
Yeah, I definitely, after these few days, like working together, I can see that value of it. Maybe I hadn't considered before, but I definitely think it's something that it would be on my radar. Yeah.
Awakenings.
Yes.
And I know after spending just these last few days with you and watching you interact with other people and some of your gifts coming out with them, you have so much to offer that not just to students or whatever, but to business owners and entrepreneurs that they need to hear what you have to say. And just like we're asking you some questions about maybe a past part of your business life with the human design and the parent coaching and things like that. But I'll just speak from experience today. When you were in your zone, it was so impressive. You just were recalling things that I don't even know if you were you were totally in your flow state. So I don't even know if you remember what we were even talking about, because that happens to me. But it was something special because I just was watching you with another guest, Kathy, and she was just googly eyes with you and like could not believe all of the things that you were saying. And you weren't looking anything up. You were just literally reading something on her phone, and it was all coming from within you. And that was just so special. And it definitely needs to be shared more and louder.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I get really excited when people are coming into human design and then I feed off of their energy of like, they're excited. Okay, these are things about them. And energetically, when I sit in a group or I walk into a room, I can kind of sense, okay, this is what that person is just saying or doing, or this must be their energy and their type. So I think it's always been a part of me it's been a part of me for so long, over 15 years. And so it just kind of comes naturally.
Yeah, it was incredible to see today.
Thank you.
Well, we appreciate you for joining us on this panel today, and hopefully you had even more of an awakening for yourself too, because you really did light up when you talk about certain things, as Leah and Carrie were also pointing out, and Amanda. Think about like going towards the business owners and entrepreneurs and things like that. There's great communities out there that people are looking for what you do, on that side. So, and your passion just seeps through. So we appreciate you coming out today.
Thank you for having me.
Can you share with the audience a little bit more about how they can connect with you?
Yeah, they can reach me at my website, theinnerdesign.com. And I'm on socials, Instagram at @theofficialrubina. And there's a link tree on that, and you can find me and reach me and connect.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining the show. Those of you that are watching today, please subscribe, leave us a review, go see and check what Rubina's doing today and tomorrow and the next day. Hopefully she starts the podcast.
Yes, I think I will.
Well, I love you all. I appreciate everything with all the support that we always get on this show. And we'll see you in the next episode.